This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 374 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 23rd of February 2026. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelim.
Evening.
Graham.
Hello.
And Will.
Howdy.
Before we get started, exciting news. I've decided to organise a piss-up in a brewery, at a pub. So, on Saturday the 27th of June from 6pm until late, so I don't know, 11ish, maybe a bit later, a meet-up at a pub called the Shipwrights Arms, which is just next to London Bridge Station in London, obviously. Be there and be square is what I said on Mastodon. So, yeah, no formal anything. Just let's go to the pub and have a drink and a chat and see what happens.
Just to say, there's plenty of food options around and about. There's loads of other places to go on afterwards as well. So it's a really easy to get to location.
What time is the private jet picking me up at?
I don't know. Ask Michael O'Leary. I'm sure he'll sort you out. So anyway, yeah, put that in your calendar now. I'll remind people closer to the time, but 27th of June, Saturday evening, central London, drinking until late. Let's do some news then. And huge news that is open source adjacent, I would say, is Discord launches Teen by Default settings globally. So next month, I think they're going to bring this in, whereby Discord is kind of locked down by default and you're going to have to prove your age to get into certain spaces and certain channels and stuff like that. I mean, I don't care. We've had this for ages anyway, since the Online Safety Act. But I think that this is a potential opportunity for open source. But then I'm not convinced we've got anything to compete with Discord, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've certainly seen quite a few messages from people saying they're trying Matrix or they're trying Mattermost, and they all seem to have failed and gone back to looking at something else. But I do think it's a great opportunity. I think we've said it before, but I'm not a big fan of Discord despite being on there. I'm sure we can do better than that, even though we'll still have the same problems, at least regulatory-wise in the UK.
Yeah, but I've talked about this. Every time I go on Discord, it just gives me full screen pop-ups of Nitro this and other random young person shit that I don't understand. So I've never understood the appeal of it, but I know that it is massive. And there are several open source communities that are on there. And yeah, I mean, like I said, we've had this for ages, but now the rest of the world is kind of waking up to the dystopian nightmare that is the internet in the UK.
I think it's interesting that a legal change in the UK has rolled out to the rest of the world. And when I know that there are a bunch of states in the US that also have very similar rules, but it seems to have become the default way of doing things really quickly, much quicker than I thought. I think we all knew in our hearts that this was going to be the way that things rolled out, that it was the tip of the iceberg and that this is what has happened. But it seems to have happened very, very quickly. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to be old men complaining about the world like someone complained about recently to us, but what can you do? The world has gone to shit, seemingly, or the internet has. And I feel like this kind of ties in with the hardware shortages, in quotes, or ridiculous fucking prices for hardware, insofar as we're heading towards this dark future where in order to do kind of standard computing, you're going to have no anonymity, no privacy at all, because you're going to have to prove your age everywhere on the internet, which basically means uploading your face or your ID. And to actually access the internet on any sort of modern hardware, you're probably going to have to rent it because it's just so fucking expensive because of the RAM and SSD and hard drives and all the rest of it, just the whole electronics and computer price hikes that we've seen that seem to just not want to go away. Am I being overly dramatic here?
I don't think so. I mean, I think lots of people have mentioned this, but I don't trust how Discord in particular will handle the privacy of whatever documents people may choose to share. I think you're right. I think that's the way that the internet's going. I don't know whether we will have any way to push back. I kind of feel like those of us who care will have a way of pushing back, but it won't matter. People already sacrificed everything with Facebook and WhatsApp and TikTok anyway.
To be fair to Discord, they have been very clear about this, that there's going to be on-device processing of any video selfies or facial age estimation stuff, and that they're going to delete stuff very quickly, and that they're going to do their best to keep your data private. Like, I do actually believe that they intend to do that.
Why?
Because it's in their interests to be transparent about this stuff and to do the minimal data collection that they need to comply with laws. It's just easier. I mean, apart from anything else, it's cheaper not to keep a bunch of data around. But there was a big but coming here, right?
Okay, go on.
And the but is that they are going to fuck it up, right? I don't think they're going into it with bad intentions, but that doesn't mean that your data isn't going to leak.
Yeah, and well, the problem is that they've outsourced it to other third parties, and those third parties' entire business model is making money out of you. That's the problem, if you ask me, that we have now personal identification brokers like Persona and the other one that they're using. Persona also do LinkedIn, and I've linked to an article by a guy who said, right, I'm going to get the LinkedIn verified thing, and all the steps he went through and all the amount of data that they took and who they sent it to and all the stuff. And it is shocking how bad it is. It's like every AI company for data training models intershared between all the different governments and loads of organizations. Everybody has your details basically. And you've given them a biometric photo of your face while you're at it. It's unreal.
Yeah. And Persona is the company that Peter Thiel has got his fingers in. So that should be enough of a red flag. But Discord have said that they're not going to use Persona, or rather they said they were going to, and now they've kind of backtracked on that.
Yeah, they'd just be using Persona Lite, like, let's face it.
But the thing is, it doesn't matter what their intentions are. Like, whether intentions are nefarious or not, doesn't matter, because even if you take them at their word, which I am willing to do, I still think they're going to fuck it up, like I said. I think that we've seen enough of these leaks already in the short time that we've had this dystopian bullshit in the UK that it's just going to get worse as this becomes more pervasive.
I think this is a great thing. I think this is a great way to not have to join a bunch of shite you didn't want to in the first place. Because now you've got the excuse. And it's not your, fucking fuss, weirdo, won't do, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'd rather not have my passport details stolen. And I think people can actually picture that properly.
Yeah, I suppose it's rather than like, it's for ethical reasons and isn't free software and open source great because of this, shared community, blah, blah, blah.
Here's my 50-page PowerPoint presentation about Peter Thiel and the Antichrist.
Yeah, this is instead just hard facts. Like, if you don't want to put up with this bullshit, you're going to have to do it the open source way. So maybe there is a silver lining here.
Maybe you're right. I would really like to see some of Discord's features on an open source platform. I like, for example, it reminds me a little bit of Google Wave, the way that anything can become its own thread and becomes very easy to follow. I can see why it's popular in like game development communities, for example, because as soon as you spark an idea with a single message, that creates its own topic. And it's very easy to navigate between that. The way that there are different categories for media and that stuff, I can see the attraction, and I wish there was something more like that we could, self-host or whatever.
I genuinely don't think I know how to use it properly then, because the only thing that I know about Discord is the fact that there's always a notification I can't find in a sub-chat of some sub-chat. Yeah. And like all those things you described there, I've never seen any of those things. I don't know, maybe I don't have the right nitro, whatever the fuck that is. I hate it so much. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But it could be user error.
But when it comes to open source alternatives, Mattermost ain't it, right? Like that is kind of more of a Slack clone. And even then, most of the good features are paywalled.
Unless you write the admin interface yourself for a client. What?
Oh, right. But, I've heard Discourse being thrown around, but that's a completely different system. That's like an old school forum versus a chat platform. And Matrix is, God bless them, a fucking disaster UX-wise. Like with the failed to decrypt message, which I know they've been working on, but Matrix, I don't think is going to win out here. I just don't think there is really a viable open source alternative to Discord at the moment, at least. But maybe this will bring one about.
IRC will come back again.
Yeah, any day now.
IRC was great.
Yeah.
No gifts, no good.
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Automox. If you're evaluating endpoint management solutions, the real risk isn't which tool you choose, it's choosing one without a proven blueprint for success. Because while most endpoint tools promise automation, next to none promise outcomes. That's why Automox introduced Turnkey results. Turnkey removes the uncertainty that holds endpoint automation back. It delivers a personalized results blueprint, so Automox is configured and operated to achieve real outcomes from day one. No trial and error, just clarity. Each blueprint is validated across millions of endpoints managed by Automox and tailored to your specific environment, your risk tolerance, and your operational goals. Instead of guessing how aggressive to be with automation or how to configure policies safely, start with a plan you can trust. And you can choose to implement the plan yourself or have Automox do it for you. Either way, you get faster time to value, lower risk, and predictable endpoint outcomes. Automox Turnkey results. Know the plan, trust the result. Learn more at www.automox.com. All right, we have to talk about this matplotlib business. So where do I even start trying to explain this one? So matplotlib is quite an important and widely used Python library. An AI agent submitted a pull request that was kind of automatically turned down because it was coming from an AI agent. And then supposedly, and this is debatable, that very same agent wrote a blog post trash-talking the maintainer, who's called Scott Shambaugh, and then it completely blew up all over the internet. Everyone was like, oh, I can't believe that we've got AI agents talking shit on people in blog posts and everything. And then it got even weirder because Ars Technica wrote an article about it, and it turned out that that was full of quotes that were completely fabricated by some sort of AI. And then Ars Technica retracted the article, and then the author kind of put his hands up and said, oh, I was ill with COVID, and like, oh, I should have checked more and everything. Where do we even start trying to get our heads around this?
Personally, in that whole thing, I was most disappointed with Ars Technica because as much as it was good of them to be honest and it was good of the author to admit their failings and the mistakes they'd made, I still was left with a, what the fuck? What the fuck are they really doing if they're scanning material for quotes that they can easily insert? I'm sure it's not the writer's fault. I'm sure they're under tons of pressure to create tons of content without any due diligence or research. And it just really made me feel like journalism is dead.
Well, I don't think that that's quite right what you said. I think that they are under pressure to create a lot of content very fucking quickly with due diligence, and like something has to give. And the due diligence in this case was the thing that had to give. But that said, I don't normally say this sort of thing, but if they don't fire him over this, I will never fully trust Ars Technica again. And I don't like saying that. You know, this is a dude's livelihood that we're talking about. But, you know, it's one thing to get something wrong in an article. I mean, we get shit wrong all the time. Like, if it's just an accident and, you know, a fuck up, that's one thing. But this was like willful use of AI when it's against their policy. And like, that's not okay at all, I don't think.
That's the bit that really sticks with me as well. We all make mistakes. I've made hundreds of them and made hundreds of them in articles. But there were some things that just crossed the line. You know, copying stuff and putting your name to it is one of them. And this is akin to that, except for it's worse. And the irony of what he was writing about also.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it suggests that he's probably been doing this before with a clearer head, not full of COVID, and getting away with it. I don't know, maybe that is a terrible accusation, but we will never know. And if they don't crack down on it, then, yeah, I'm never going to trust him again. It's as simple as that.
I don't want him to lose his job either, but this will take some serious repair work to build the trust back. And I think the reason why I went straight to the Ars Technica piece is because the AI agent story itself, which I think a lot of us saw as it was developing, like mouths open, was like, is this really happening? Was that interaction real? Was the agent real? Was there a human behind it? Why were they so fucking polite in the PR itself? I don't know. There's so many uncertainties about that. And when there's so much uncertain in something, you have to rely on somebody like Ars Technica, on something like Ars Technica to bring clarity and accuracy. And that's where it failed, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally agree. If they come out, fire him and say this was explicitly against our policy and he has been fired for gross misconduct or whatever it is, and we are going to fucking make sure this doesn't happen again, then that will help to rebuild trust. If they just sweep it under the rug, give him a telling off, and, oh, well, he had COVID, so what are you going to do? Then I will never fully trust them again. I'm not going to like throw my toys out the pram and say, right, I'm never linking to them again. I'm never reading it again, because ours has been around for an awfully long time. And it is this really well-respected publication. So I will somewhat trust it, but I will think twice before fully trusting it again. And I don't like that. Why has AI just fucking ruined everything? Everything good that was left has been fucking ruined.
Sorry, I've run out of memory on my PC. I need to restart. Hold on.
So do we believe that the agent wrote this blog post, or do we think that it is a hoax? Because I think that it is true. I think the agent did do it. I think that there's probably more prompting involved than the operator is letting on, but I do think that it is plausible.
I think there are more prompts than have been revealed. I think that the tendency is for people that don't understand how it works to believe that it is somehow sentient and makes decisions about things. And it doesn't. It just looks at numbers and probabilities. So I think it did write that piece. I think it did that. But I think it was instructed to do it in some suggestion that, you know, if its PRs were rejected, then it should be cross about it. I don't think it came to that conclusion by itself.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable read of it. Because I think that a lot of people who are kind of like me and anti all Gen I stuff don't really fully grasp the agentic situation and where we're at. We are not talking about the old school LLMs where you type in a prompt and it spits out some text and you copy paste it out. An agent is more than that. Like the LLM is kind of like the brain of it or the engine of it. You know, there's various analogies here, but the agent kind of ties together a bunch of other tools that rely on the LLM for a lot of what it's doing, but it has like persistent memory that LLMs don't have, or a lot more persistent memory than they have, and is able to take actions. And with this MCP thing, model context protocol, they can interact with other APIs and stuff like that. It's a lot more advanced and scary, not in a kind of take over the world Skynet type way, but more in a kind of spreading its slop to places where you wouldn't think it would be able to kind of way. And I'm sure loads of people listening understand it better than I do, but I have spoken to people in our listener community who are kind of on the same wavelength with regards being pretty anti-Gen AI, who like haven't grasped this yet. But anyway, I'll put a load of links in the show notes. There's 4 blog posts by Scott Shambar about this, really digging into it. And we didn't even get into the fact that people think that it's basically just some crypto bro trying to generate publicity to sell his shitcoin. It's all so hazy at this point that we just don't know. But I think this is not the last we're going to hear of this sort of thing.
Can't wait to be blackmailed by an AI at some point. It's going to be great crack.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I know somebody at work who was misattributed as the writer of a blog post. The blog post actually said they were the writer and said these were their opinions that were completely contradictory to what they really think, and also professionally very difficult for them. And that blog post was entirely generated by AI for some, site that just churns out this stuff for clickbait.
Wow, that's shocking.
I don't know. I know we should be moving on, but it just feels like we're going to be left with an internet that is just these things talking to each other while we just, go back to drinking wine and talking in real life.
Or we could start our own internet with no AIs. Haha! In your face, AI.
Yes, on Amigas.
Yes! Let's do it.
Yeah, do tell us about your...
Yeah, I was going to say, have you got a network card that I could install?
Joe told me not to mention it.
No. We'll have to have you stand on the street corner and shout about it instead.
Go to the pub in June.
I'm going to get OpenClaw working on my Amiga, Joe, you see.
Any day now. Well, speaking of all this AI bollocks, just a very quick mention that Firefox 148 is now available as we record. There's binaries available on the FTP server. The snap hasn't been updated yet, and it hasn't been officially released, but it will be in repos and stuff soon, I would imagine, in the next day or so. And I briefly tried it out, and sure enough, the big turn off all the AI bullshit button is there. And then I was able to turn the translation bit back on, which I know pissed you off, Phelim, but Mozilla have made good on their word, and I applaud them.
What else has been turned on by that button? What else?
Well, they gave us the button that we asked for, so thank you very much, Mozilla. Let's do a quick KDE corner. The first one is a link to a Mastodon thread, which is an anti-FUD FAQ to debunk the KDE is forcing systemd hoax.
Yes, somebody, I don't know. To be honest, I didn't even bother looking at who it was, but there was a thing with this new Plasma login manager. It has a need for systemd, and they said, oh my God, now Plasma needs systemd. It does not. You do not need to use Plasma login manager. It's there as an option if you want to. Then they were saying, oh, the technologies of systemd are required for Plasma. No, they are not. You can use it on BSD if you really hate yourself and everything about computers. And, you know, it's just all crap. Plasma is very desktop agnostic, I would say, or core operating system agnostic, sorry. So do not worry. If you do not like systemd, you do not need to use systemd with KDE.
Yeah. It's just the usual fucking far-right nutters, isn't it? Just making up bullshit for clicks. I can't believe that we've got them in the Linux world, but I suppose they're fucking everywhere else, aren't they? But yes, it's not a systemd dependency for Plasma. It's only for the Plasma login manager. But presumably you could use like LightDM or something instead, right?
Yeah, I think, what is it? SDDM is the default one on, say, Neon. A lot of them use that. It's just a fairly generic one. So, yeah, you could use that if you want to or whatever. I mean, your distro or BSD of choice may have a completely separate one. So, yeah, just do that.
Right. And KDE endorses the UN's open source principles.
Yeah, this is, well, I guess United Nations turned some people off, but I mean, try and get that many countries to agree on anything. But at least this is, you know, some sort of way that we can all sort of look at a definition and a way to work together on open source software and, yeah, try and break the proprietary silos. And it's a good thing. Where it goes anywhere, who knows? But it's a good thing.
When are they going to sign up to the Board of Peace open source principles?
Well, that's a good question, actually, yes. How much is it? How many billions do I need to give the Trump, the Board of Peace? Would it help if I put a hotel in my back garden for Trump to run? Trump Hotels, Dublin in the suburbs.
You're right. They spelt it wrong. It should have been BORED, shouldn't it?
All right, Plasma 6.6 is out, and that was a week ago, so there's presumably point releases already.
Yeah, I think the point release is probably tomorrow. It's usually a Tuesday, so 1 week after, and then 2 weeks, and then 4, I think it is. Yeah, that's really cool, really nice. It fixed a few bugs I had, stabilized a few things, fixed a few plasmoids. The screen capture utility is quite handy now. You can integrate it with Tesseract and get it to actually take text out of the image that you've got and then be able to dump it in text messages. It's actually quite handy.
You can scan QR codes now.
Yeah, you can, yeah, especially if you have a camera, especially if you have a Wi-Fi password that's 63 characters, whatever the max one is that I use in the house that everybody here loves. And yes, it has a cool setup utility, Plasma Setup, which is quite cool for system builders and stuff like that. And then, yes, the Plasma login manager is available. I was going to install mine today, but then I thought it probably wouldn't be good if I couldn't log into my machine for show. So I'll do it tomorrow.
Well done. Then you'll have 2 weeks to fix all the potential issues.
Yes.
Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelim.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.